Wel, diolch yn fawr, Esther. Mae wirioneddol yn anrhydedd I fyna I gyflwyno araith I genhadlaeth geidwadol fel ysgrifennydd gwladol Cymru. Mae'n amser mor ddiddorol, mor gyffroes a bwysig I ni fel ein hanes ein cenedl. And I trust you absolutely agree with every word I said. It's a pleasure to be here at the Conservative Party conference, and it's a privilege to serve as the Secretary of State for Wales and to follow in the excellent footsteps and the excellent work of my predecessor, Stephen Crabb. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of those involved in the party in Wales, particularly my ministerial team, Gitto Bebb and Lord Bourne, and to my PPS, Glyn Davis, and to Andrew R.T. Davis, who you heard a moment ago, and his excellent assembly team based in Cardiff Bay. Now, it's been a fantastic year in Wales for more reasons than one. We had an outstanding performance at this year's Olympics and Paralympics, and I must admit that in the past I've relished the opportunity to remind my English friends about the successes of the Welsh rugby team. But this year I won't do that. It wouldn't be right, because England won last year. So I've decided to move on to football. And our brilliant performance at the Euros earlier this year. But it was an absolute privilege to see how the whole of the UK got behind the Welsh team as we approached the semi-finals. Now, our sporting triumphs are hugely important for a number of reasons, but they also serve to underline the UK as a special family of nations. And in this context, Wales has played its full part in growing the UK economy. The unemployment rate in Wales is the lowest in the UK. Employment has never been higher, and since 2010, Wales has seen the fastest economic growth across the whole of the country outside of London. Now, key to that success has been a range of UK government initiatives, from the broadband rollout scheme to the electrification of the railways, along with the essential changes in our welfare system. And it's heartening to see that the best employment data is coming from some of the most deprived communities in Wales, truly highlighting that we are a government that works for everyone. Now, as a family of nations, the UK taxpayer rightly supports all parts of the UK. And after decades of inbuilt disadvantage of the funding formula, it took a Conservative government to introduce a funding floor in Wales. Labour had talked about it for 13 years, but we delivered it within our first year in government. But we also recognise that our role goes much further. We established the UK's largest city deal in Cardiff, £1.2 billion that will deliver a modern metro for Cardiff and the wider Valleys communities. And I'm working with Greg Clark and Sajid Javid on city and growth deals for Swansea Bay and North Wales. I'm determined to see that North Wales is plugged into the economic opportunities in Manchester, Liverpool and Cheshire and the Northern Powerhouse. After all, we are all interconnected economies, and that's why we will halve the tolls on the Severn Bridge to improve economic opportunities between South Wales, Bristol and the South West. A government on the side of working people. Now, another success story has been the record-breaking years of foreign direct investment. Last year, 90 projects came to Wales with the direct support of UKTI. And it's in this spirit I'm excited by the approach and enthusiasm of Liam Fox. His new Department for International Trade will be fundamental to seek out new markets and take us to the next level of inward investment. We are working closely together to build on the successes of recent years. His department is an example of a department that will work for all of the UK. Now, Wales is an open, outward-looking economy determined to make the most of post-Brexit opportunities. There will be challenges, but there will also be a host of new opportunities and new prospects too. The Wales First Minister seeks to present Wales as a victim of the EU referendum, but he seems to forget that Wales voted to leave the European Union too. Now, whether we like it or not, we must work from that instruction. There are new and exciting opportunities for Wales, with the UK being the global leader in free trade. Now, the outcome of the referendum has naturally raised concerns over the future of what is currently considered EU funding. That is, money targeted to support some of the poorest parts of the UK. But again, we must seize this moment as an opportunity to do better for those communities. After all, European structural funds are supposed to be a temporary fix, a stimulus for the most deprived parts of the UK. Now, in Wales in 1999, I remember the debate about Objective 1 money. It was described as a once-in-a-generation opportunity. But 16 years on, £4 billion later, Labour's mismanagement of the funds has let those communities down. So much was their frustration that those areas that had received most European aid were the very same areas that voted in the strongest numbers to leave the European Union. And when we consider some of the projects they funded, there's little worry for their anger. If only the outcomes, if only they had focused on the outcomes in the same way that they focused on the money that they were spending in those projects. Simply carrying on in the same old ways, spending this according to the same old plans after 2 decades is not an option any longer. But a new structure will give us the opportunity to follow UK priorities, investing in a way that is completely tailored to the Welsh and the UK economy. So now that we're leaving the European Union, the union of the UK is more important than ever before. Where Labour started the devolution process, it's up to us to deliver a clearer, stronger, fairer settlement that works for Wales and for our part within the Union of the United Kingdom. That's why, along with James Brockenshire and David Mundell, we will continue to work in the interests of our precious union and across government with colleagues such as Greg Clark to seek a sustainable future for steelmaking, with Karen Bradley to develop our broadcasting industry, and with Chris Grayling to improve our transport infrastructure, and across the whole of UK government departments to make exiting the European Union a success for all parts of the country. Now, I started my contribution by talking about the special family of nations. As the Prime Minister said on the steps of Downing Street, we firmly believe in the precious, precious bond between England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. And I'm hugely encouraged by the importance placed on the role of Wales. The Prime Minister was in Cardiff within days of entering Downing Street. The message is clear. This government will do everything it can to deliver a country that will work for everyone, an economy that will work for everyone, a society that will work for everyone, a union that will work for everyone. So whether you're a farmer on the rolling hills of Powys, or like my father, a steel worker in Port Talbot, we are a government that will work for you. Thank you very much.